Bakken Shale Formation has been a beacon for recovery for the rest of the nation. We have so much oil in this country just through use of our technology. 2 miles down and 2 miles out from where we're standing out here. We can keep it within 7 feet.
Fund this land. They don't want a bunch of oil wells here.
We want 1 million barrels of oil a day out of the Bakken Shale Formation. We're part of a movement. It's a revolution.
Cool to start a fire, I'm burning diesel, burning dinosaur bones.
Arlington, California, Arkansas, Wyoming, Arizona, Washington, New Mexico,
Montana.
We are struggling with the influx of people.
When I first moved out here, I lived in a Winnebago with 3 other men.
Never go outside without putting a gun on. Ever. Rent is outrageous. Groceries are outrageous. Fuel is outrageous.
Don't care, right, wrong, indifferent. Every man works for one thing.
Money.
I'm gonna break my roof cage. I'm gonna break my roof cage.
Little change up from yesterday, fellas. We're going to be going through town, taking the truck route, continuing east. Because this is a long convoy, know who's in front of you, know who's behind you, okay? If you miss a corner or something like that, just, call out over the radio who you are and where in position you are. Does anybody have any questions as far as where we're going? Alright, fellas, let's make it happen.
The men in this room are from all over the United States. And Travis Bostic, their leader, is no different. A cowboy at heart, he ranches in Wyoming when he isn't working in the oil fields. Today, he's wrangling a different kind of herd.
This company's gone from 1 crew to 3 crews in North Dakota, and the way that everybody's grown, it's been really neat to watch. It's still tough to learn everybody's names all at once.
Travis and the Men of Liberty are frackers, high-tech fortune hunters seeking a treasure miles underground.
You and that whole road, that will be the first row of horsepower to leave out.
This takes a lot of horsepower. 15 tractor trailers will move 800 tons of equipment to the well site, located about 15 miles from Williston. But first, they have to get out of the yard.
Unit 11 10, I don't know if you got a driver for that. We'll get a phone number.
Travis's right-hand man, Justin Allen, also known as Bieber, is a chef of the day's first problem. There's a truck with no driver.
Hey, Stretch, you got the Stretch? What unit are you in right now?
Everybody along.
They had you on 2 different boards. Evidently, you got twins. You were supposed to drive 2049 too.
My clone over.
This is also part of the growing pains. Really no big deal. We got guys that we keep as reserve drivers, just in case something gets missed.
With all the trucks now manned, the rollout's still on schedule. Travis and Justin lead the convoy, while fellow crew leader Derek Pointer brings up the rear.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go right through town. Really parading, man. The bad boys right here. Bad boys of frack. I wanted to be a roughneck since I was like 4 years old. I come from a long line of fuel and gas business in my blood. Getting up early, I like it. You're out that door. You're mounted up, ready to kick some more ass, because that's exactly what you done the day before, and you're gonna do it again. And we're gonna meet up, huddle up, talk about some safety. We're gonna make it happen. You're gonna see some neat stuff here. While we're laying down iron, guys, just remember the slips, trips, falls, the pinch points. Remember our PPE, safety glasses, hard hat. If you guys do get hurt in any way at all, please report it to us so the necessary paperwork filled out and get that done and taken care of. You don't want something biting you in the butt 20 years down the road. The nearest hospital is Williston, North Dakota. We have life flight coordinates supporting the paperwork in my truck and the data van. Let's get in there and kick some ass. Be careful, be safe, be where you're supposed to be. And we'll meet up once more, split up like Mr. Bostic said. Be careful, help each other out, shit like you guys always do. Let's make it happen, that's all I got.
The oil-rich Bakken Shale Formation is located in parts of Montana, North Dakota, and Canada. The entire region contains over 10 billion barrels of recoverable oil, making it one of the world's largest petroleum reserves. What's happening in this high-tech energy playground has ramifications from D.C. to Dubai.
This is really going to set the standard for what the oil industry plays on for a long time.
Fracking is a hot-button environmental issue that sparked global debate. Opponents fear it leads to groundwater contamination and other forms of pollution. In the Bakken and elsewhere, reports of oil spills, fires, blowouts, and toxic wastewater leaks have been on the rise. The state of New York and several American cities have even banned fracking outright. Here, too, some are concerned about the dangers, but their voices are outnumbered by those who profit from the boom. Billions of dollars are at stake. When it goes bust, it's anybody's guess. These are the stories of the Boomtowners, the locals under siege,
They're leaping the land, ruining the land.
the fortune seekers,
Have a good time with it. Make a lot of money.
the hopeful, the desperate,
And 3 months later, the company is going bankrupt and we have nothing.
the realists,
The oil field brings the lowest class of people. That is hands down the God's honest truth.
and the dreamers.
Whatever you want, it's at your grasp. It's just how hard you want to work.
I'm this early, so I can go to work, get my day done, and still be able to spend some time with my family in the evening from about 5 till 8 o'clock at night. When the boom was revving up in 2010, most of the oil workers in the Bakken had homes and families elsewhere. Ben Moorhead did that too for several months before moving his family here from Phoenix. Every year that I've driven a truck, I've made less money than I did the year before. Everything's kept going down. The recession hit, and North Dakota became a magnet, and people just started flocking up here. I do like the social values out here. There's a lot of hard-working people. It's just a good work ethic, good people to have your kids around. Something about it, I really like it. And I think it might be because if I go anywhere else in the United States to work right now, I'm going to be broke. So I'm probably forced to like it. At any given time in the Bakken, there are thousands of trucks carrying hazardous materials on public roads. These trucks are potential bombs on wheels. This gives us a packing group. It's packing group number 3. It's flammable. And this tells you what it is. The placards just indicate what you're carrying. That way the emergency responders, if you happen to flip the truck, know what they're dealing with. Ben hauls crude oil and has had a hazardous materials license for 12 years. He also knows how to test the quality of crude. This is Bakken box. People probably don't understand that along with these trucks going down the road, we have a laboratory. More than a truck driver, I'm also a scientist. Ben will test and deliver crude oil from 3 wells today. It will take 14 hours.
And behold, one of the sons of Israel came and brought to his relative a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses.
I always try to set time aside to pray, to read the Bible. That's why I wake up early in the morning, I pray, I get into the Word, and my pastors who discipled me early, they taught me that. They said, you need to be ready to share the gospel with anybody at any time.
Sean Banks is a pastor who spends almost all of his free time studying the Bible and sharing his religion on the streets of Williston, North Dakota.
How you doing, man? Good, can I get on these? You're a lying, thieving fornicator. If God were to judge you by those standards right now, heaven or hell?
Probably hell.
Okay, does that concern you? Some people receive it and some people reject it. You know, what I do is I tell them the gospel. I try to encourage them that life is short. Nobody knows when their time is going to come.
Sean arrived in the Bakken from Port Orchard, Washington 4 years ago. He's seen a lot of growth, not all of it good.
The Bakken presents itself as a thing that could be used as a blessing, but some people are using it for bad things. Fellas, I know you guys are young and you guys are having fun, and I get that. You guys have to repent of your sins and believe the gospel. And hell is very real and eternal.
Pastoring remains a part-time job, at least for now.
I would do this for free. It's just you can't do it for free full-time. I have to provide for my family, for broke Isaiah and Jeremiah.
To make ends meet, Sean does what most people do here. He works in the oil field.
If I didn't work for basin safety, it would not be enough to live on in the Bakken.
Today, Sean is working at a typical production well, just north of Williston. His job at basin safety is to check wells like this one for deadly hydrogen sulfide, now commonly known as H2S. If you breathe H2S above a certain level, you will die. Over 10% of the wells we go to, if you were to breathe in without the equipment, you would not make it.
I have gotten a little nervous before with him working with H2S, but God has literally a day where he's going to take Sean, and no circumstances is going to change that.
H2S training is required for most roughnecks. The deadly gas is a potential danger on many well sites. The one Sean inspects has some of the highest H2S levels in the Bakken.
If I were to pick something, I would pick die preaching the gospel. That's what I would pick if I could pick anything. It's to glorify Jesus by proclaiming his word. That's what I'd pick. Alright, this is typical Monday morning. We're going to go in. We're going to see anybody that's in jail that was arrested over the weekend, and then they'll be walking traffic. This is Richmond County Justice Court's now in session. This is case number 510850.
Sydney, Montana Court Judge Greg Moore has been on the bench for 28 years, but he's never been busier than he is now.
The caseload just keeps increasing and increasing and increasing. It just gets crazier.
Arrests in Sydney have increased by 165% in 3 years.
No one could sit there and predict what was going to happen. We woke up and here's an 800-pound gorilla in bed with us, called Buck.
Criminals and scofflaws are attracted to the boom for the same reason as everyone else: opportunity.
This is Go West, young man. This is the new Goldfield. There were some fistfights, a couple of thefts. Not guilty. Staying clean. Good. All right, man. Case 104-838-471. Disorderly conduct by urinating in a box inside the Senate store. The people that we're seeing in these courtrooms now are belligerent, confrontational. Well, I've asked people to remove their hats in the courtroom, and one guess what happens if they don't. Based on my training and experience, I recognize the results of that someone was under the influence of alcohol and or drugs.
Judge Moore is regarded locally as tough, a little unconventional, and fair.
You sure you don't want to speak with an attorney? It'd probably be in my best interest. Well, I cannot give you legal advice. Yeah. Okay, so you want to speak with an attorney? Okay, there you go. But I understand, what folks are going through. There's a lot of people that have lost what they had where they came from due to the economy. You got me? Yes. I don't get it. Because if you don't get me, I will get you.
Some locals in the Bakken feel these newcomers are more than simply a nuisance.
I never go out. Never go outside without putting a gun on. Ever. And locking one of the doors. Yeah. To go through that ball. Come on, baby.
Sandy Beagle Angel was born in Sydney and raised 2 children here. The farm where she resides has been in her family for 3 generations.
Oh, here we are.
She shares 180 acres with a yellow lab beau and numerous stray cats. For years, Sandy's lashed out at the oil companies that are changing her community.
I'm going to be sitting out there in my rocking chair with a shotgun on my lap, just saying to people, get off my land. This is my land and I'm here to stay.
But despite all her objections, Sandy's world continues to change.
I have a lot of friends that have sold their homes for huge prices and gotten a lot of money and moved to buildings or wherever, but this is home. I find this land. I don't want a bunch of oil wells here. This is my sanctuary, my habitat, my place where I feel safe. I love the animals, I love the birds, I just love nature. I mean, a lot of people, they look at a well and say, isn't that beautiful? And I just don't think so.
The debate about fracking may rage outside the Bakken, but here in the heart of oil country, Sandy is often a rare voice of dissent.
And when these big companies come in and start raping the land, I don't like that.
This area is actually called the Williston Basin, but everybody calls it Bakken. This is the Bakken Shale Formation is what they're talking about down below. I'm a 3rd generation Marine. I spent 5 years in the crash fire rescue. And the reason I did crash fire rescue is I wanted to be a sniper when I went in. My dad was in Vietnam. He said, why don't you do something that when you get out of the Marine Corps, you can be something besides a mercenary. Probably should have been a mercenary. Sounds like a more interesting job.
Every day in the Bakken, 645,000 barrels of crude oil are transported by a truck from remote well sites to a shipping facility. Van Moorhead will haul 600 of those barrels today in 3 trips. His first stop is a few miles from nowhere in rural North Dakota.
First thing I do when I pull up to the tanks is I make sure I'm at the right place. I grab my locker box inside the truck, turn my pump on, turn my heaters on for my little laboratory there, grab my hose, pull it over, set up my ground, hook up to the tank, and I go straight up. Homework.
Van then enters the data into his grease book.
When I first started here, I didn't understand why it was called a grease book until I had one for a month and it was all greasy. Then it made sense.
If Van's tests show that the oil is not contaminated, he will fill his tanks, pay for his cargo, and transport it to the shipping facility.
So I've been up since 2 o'clock in the morning. I finally got my first load on. It's about 10 now. I'm just getting started. I got 2 more loads to do after this. So we gotta get on the road. Come on. See what they're up to here.
The Liberty Oilfield Services frac team begins to rig up, preparing to start the controversial practice called hydraulic fracturing.
Hey y'all, truck coming at ya. Truck's moving.
Each trailer's carrying a piece of fracking equipment. It's up to Travis to ensure that the trucks are parked in a specific order in relation to the two wellheads.
Might seem like kind of a long process, but the size of these jobs is really what is telling us how much equipment we need. So the biggest thing is just getting them spotted safely.
As hydraulic fracturing technology becomes more sophisticated, oil production's going through the roof. In 2005, the Bakken produced around 2,800 barrels a day. In 2014, that number raced past 1 million barrels a day.
Nice job, good turn. Boys are pretty good drivers. I couldn't do that.
The price tag for this equipment is huge, about $32 million. A steep drop in the price of oil would affect the entire region. Eventually, it could make fracking non-profitable. But for now, the party continues.
I got my homeboys over here. They're spotting these pumps. They're just fine. They don't need my assistance. I'm gonna help this guy right here. The triple axle love machine. Here we go. Alright, come on in here with that, man. That's the triple axle love machine. That's the flagship of this crew, man.
The object of Derek's affection is a custom fabricated crane truck, built and designed by the Liberty crew for the Liberty crew.
Now we got such mean-ass pride. I'll show you why. A little dirty. Is that not cool or what? I call it the tattoo, the tramp stamp, so to speak. Round-ass frac company. That's us. That's what we do. We're gonna show you why.
The iron truck has an onboard crane that moves heavy pipes into position so they can be connected.
All right, great.
Frac fluid will be pumped through these pipes and into the well at extremely hot pressure.
There's a certain conditions that we have to follow pretty strictly. This iron right here is only rated for 10,000 pounds. The red iron that you'll see below, that's rated for 15,000 pounds. It's all based on ratings, it's based on regulations, meant to control pressure, control the well, and also keep people safe. Our max pressure is going to be about 9,500 pounds. We'll operate anywhere from 85 to 9,000. I know what pressure it's capable of, and it could be up even sometimes to a dangerous amount.
I am absolutely exhausted. My husband has been working more hours than he ever has. I'm tired of not seeing him. I'd like to go see a movie.
It's been a year and a half since the senior family moved to the Bakken from Southern California.
Hey, Bill, can you grab the door?
Okay, start grabbing stuff.
It's been a big change from their old life.
Every Friday was date night, and here we don't get that as much.
Deanna works for the county, and husband Ray works very long hours in the oil field.
You have to work that hard to make money to live here.
Hey, Logan, why don't you sit down, play video games while everyone else works?
Where do I put the watermelon? Over there.
Raising 4 children in the Bakken is expensive.
How much did we spend?
No, okay, let's put it this way. No, it was not. I spent $400, and then Ray spent $400, correct? $800.
It was 380.
What are you doing? Huh? What are you gonna do with that phone? I'm gonna read your text. No!
It's chaotic. I get home and it's like, alright, it's like a second job.
Oh, right on. These are the awesome people that built this house. Let's just hang on. Hello?
To add to the family stress, their new house is falling apart.
Did the countertop come?
Yes.
Great. Is it just the middle section or the whole counter?
We're not just the middle section. We're back to where we're at.
The Bakken oil boom has created a housing crunch in Williston. New houses are built quickly, sometimes with poor results.
I mean, the whole thing is completely lifting. The damn drawer won't even close.
Between you and me, I guess.
Ray Sr. is rarely home, and when he is, there's a mountain of problems waiting for him.
Then just replacing the top part is now not even a question.
Since moving to the Bakken, the happy-go-lucky senior family has been burning the candle at both ends.
Mom, Brian's just being hurtful.
This road is one of my favorite roads to drive. Here's the Batman. That's pretty, ain't it?
Ben Moorhead has been driving his truck all day, and his final crude oil pickup is in the middle of North Dakota's famous Badlands.
I like this road because of the scenery, and when it's rainy, or snowy, or icy, or... There's just something very gratifying about making it to the top. It's an adrenaline rush that I don't think you can get anywhere else. It's not like bungee jumping or any other crap. It's a man and machine versus the earth.
It's a took 65 million years to create the layers of sediment that are evident above ground here. Some of those layers are shale, similar to the shale that's 2 miles underground and doused in oil. Transporting that oil to market can be dangerous.
Some of these roads are fairly wide enough for one truck to get down. If you meet a truck on the other side, somebody's got to scoot over or back up and that shoulder would give way on in. We've had trucks go over. Tumble 400 feet to your doom.
Sean Banks works 3 days a week at Basin Safety, checking oil sites for deadly H2S gas. He splits the rest of his time between his ministry and his family.
You know, I grew up and my dad wasn't around. He's a very nice man, but he just wasn't around, and I'm not going to do that with my boys.
It's a nice goal, but life in the Bakken is making it difficult to practice what he preaches.
You came home last week, and Isaiah didn't even see you a couple nights because you came home so late. He's already in bed.
It all comes down to money. Oil is booming in the Bakken, but churches aren't.
Lately, the offerings have been a little lower than normal. You have people coming and going through a transient city. That affects us financially. It affects us in a way that I manage my time.
Sean would like to cut his hours at Basin.
Originally, we were working 2 days a week, and then it got bumped up to 3.
Okay, so what would 2 days be at Basin?
It was 1760. Well, that's 2 days.
Right, but I'm saying that we can't obviously do 2 days.
The only way I ever want to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week is for Jesus.
To pay the bills, Sean may have to work even more days at Basin.
New and improved budget. Are we past due on one?
Let's just call this utilities.
Netflix is $8. Insurance is $100. Car payment.
This is the oil field, so that's just the way it is. I mean, rent's higher here, food's higher here. $800 a month, that's a lot.
Food's just way more expensive here.
You gotta make $4,500 in hand no matter what.
Okay.
So
4 days it is.
we're just gonna go 4 days a week right now with Basin Safety, and that'll meet all of our needs for financial stuff right now. So.
Back at the Liberty frac site, what you see is history in the making. Depending on the price of oil, it's very conceivable that America will pass Saudi Arabia to become the globe's biggest producer of oil and natural gas as early as 2020. And it's fracking that's made this possible.
This heavy stuff, big old sledgehammers, there's a lot of fun. It's the best part of our job right here.
The Liberty Oilfield Services crew is in the process of connecting about 200 junctions of iron pipes at the well site.
Watch your head. Here we go, cowboy. Hang on to it.
Setting up the pipe system is only a small part of the fracking process. The oil is located in shale rock about 10,000 feet below ground. A hole is drilled vertically, then horizontally through the shale. They reinforce the hole with steel casing and cement. Then a perforating gun lowered by wireline explodes charges into the rock. That is where the Liberty team comes in.
Wireline has to go down and they perforate. We then come in after wireline's removed from the hole and we start pumping a specific type of fluid.
The tanks and trucks on site create the fluid and then pump it into the well.
There's a long direct row of water tanks. That row's about 15 tanks deep. Water comes from the water tanks to this hydration unit. Okay? That hydration unit's going to be added in with chemicals and sent to this blender unit. This blender's taking on chemicals and adding sand to create a proper laden fluid. It's coming directly out of this manifold, feeding to the horsepower units of these pump trucks, which is sent to the missile, which is sent directly downhole to the wellheads. We reach a certain climaxes of pressure, so that formation literally cannot stay strong and compound anymore. It just is forced to start breaking, hence the fracturing process.
12 motors, generating 27,000 hydraulic horsepower, pump the fluid into the hole at extremely high pressure. The perforated rock is fractured and filled with sand and small ceramic balls known as proppant, allowing the oil to drain from the rocks once production begins. The section is then plugged, and the process is repeated in stages.
And we're going to do that in series all the way up this well. That's why we call this a plug and perf well.
The Liberty team will frac 70 stages in a week and a half.
And maybe even faster. If we can go fast and do it right, do it safe, we're going to do it. Let's always kind of how everything underground in the British. It's going to be nice, sweet, and take advantage of it. If it's not, it's going to be empty, but we know what to do to make it not so empty.
Doing the job right is essential. One mistake can reduce the well's output by hundreds of barrels a day.
Let's get ready back in here. Damn it.
Liberty has fracked hundreds of wells, but each site comes with a unique set of problems. And Liberty boss Alan Penman has just discovered a big one.
Get a hold of tickets. Why do you look so angry? Why do you look so angry? You don't deliver something to Wellhead real quick on that cameraman's hold? You ain't, Alan. You alright?
Liberty boss Alan Penman has discovered a problem. One of the wellheads is missing a junction that connects the pump to the pipes.
We don't have any way in from here. They didn't put a block or a cab, so we're going to sand off everything on this well every time we're fracking that one.
The piece is called a manifold, and missing one could prove costly once production starts. Right now, there's only one path to get the frac fluid to both wells.
Our fluid into this side. So when we're stimulating down this well, sand will slowly start to pack off in here.
The accumulated sand can clump up and then be pushed into the other well once they begin to frack it, plugging the fractures they're trying to expand.
And it has in the past caused screen-outs, which is the opposite of what we're trying to achieve here. So the only real effective way to do this to prevent a problem later is to just have them bring another one.
Savannah is the exploration and production company that hired Liberty to frack the 2 wells. It's their call to make. Savannah's representative on site is Corey Stevens. He's what's known in the oil business as the company man.
Nobody wants to be the company that's responsible for everybody else sitting on location doing nothing. There's a lot of cost involved, and he has to make the decision that, one, yes, we do need this part, make the call and get it out here.
If the part arrives without delay, then the pump should start on schedule.
Just tell them send the exact same thing. Yeah, yep. Hey, time is money. In this case, they're probably going to cut it pretty close. You said they're coming out of mine now? Yep. 2.5 hours? Probably. It's not a catastrophic problem because we caught it now. If we hadn't caught this and only tied into one side, the risk there, especially on your tow stages, was too great. Go with it. Go.
In the meantime, there's still more rig-up work to be done before they can fire up.
99% of this industry is based on problem solving, but we continue to keep a pretty good base throughout these projects. It'll go really quick, actually, really fast.
Let's go off-road. Ben's 14-hour day is finally behind him, and he's home with his 2 boys. Mom should be home from work soon, but in the meantime, it's daddy time.
We're going up high. Here we go. Here we go. Ready? Let's do it again. You think I can put wheels over the top?
No.
Wheels over the top. It's just mountains and dirt where we dug the basement out. But you think it's awesome. We think we're climbing up Mount Everest. So much fun. Yeah, that's right. Want to go backwards?
No.
Well, we can look at the dirt. Daddy time is special time. We get to do things that when Mama's around, she's probably going to yell at us for. Here we go. Going down. First floor. Having children has absolutely changed my life. As far as riding a motorcycle around the country, not really happening. But as far as everything else, man, my kids are awesome. We really cherish our time together because I work so much. We gotta see if Mama wants to do this. You think she wants to?
No.
I kinda doubt it.
Hi, baby.
You guys ready to go there?
Yeah.
Open the door, pig?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go get ready.
Yeah.
Ben and Phoebe have been together for over 7 years, but only recently contemplated putting down roots.
So both gypsy souls, we've gone all over the world, really. I mean, all over the country anyway, and ended up here and discovered that this was a good place to be. Go ask Mama if she thinks you're here.
I'm the one that just did it. No, he's not wearing that.
I told him the same thing.
Back me up.
Tonight, the family's going to the Richland County Fair.
Yeah, backing up. I told him.
Okay. As soon as I take off my high heels.
Run for it!
The reason why we're staying is because we love it here. The fair, for example. I am excited, kids are excited. In Phoenix, where we're from, that would never happen. You know, we would never... The fair is someplace where we want to avoid.
Final files. We're gonna call her a day.
Judge Moore is finishing his workday, and like most people in town, he's eager to get to the county fair.
Where's the sweet potato? We had a lot of local celebrations that woke up for. Bunches of it just trade off doing it. Aluminum pans?
The judge loves to cook, so every year he helps out the fair preparing meals for the visiting performers.
That would cost you about $20. Now it's $200.
Judge Moore grew up on a farm in Iowa and has never lost his love for small-town living.
There's a doctor that lives there. There's a pastor of one of the churches that lives there. A local insurance girl here.
Now the small town is filling up with strangers.
Things are switching fast. Now these developments, these trailers that are brought in here, I could drive you around and show you places that just popped up overnight.
The influx of people and crime in town keeps the judge busy in court during the day and housebound at night.
Here's the problem, is we don't eat out. Because if I try to go out in this town, you run into somebody that you might have had a bad experience with in a courtroom, and then it always just goes downhill from there. Daylight belongs to us, darkness belongs to them. And that's just the bottom line.
The judge takes the self-imposed house arrest in stride. Cooking at the fair is just one of several ways he's found to connect with his community.
Only two look nice now, boss.
Oh, thank you. Hey, tough enough to work, man. Way to go, bud. Get it.
Like Judge Moore, the seniors are on their way to the Richland County Fair.
Did she pee?
No, she still didn't pee.
Have her smell right there, and then she might go. Can we just put down pee-pee pads and then we'll go?
Today, like many days since they moved to the Bakken, Deanna Sr. is dealing with life without her husband Ray.
Okay, let's roll. Here, take this. Take it.
Ray Sr. is a pump lease operator. His job is to travel between 14 wells, making sure they're pumping efficiently.
What you're looking at is a pad, and what you'll find on the pad is the oil tanks, the treater house, the treater itself. You'll find the pump jack, the wellhead. Pretty much anything on the pad I'm responsible for.
Ray's job keeps him on the road for long stretches, while his family drives in the opposite direction to the county fair.
Entering Lock 3, Lock 4,
Lock 44.
4.5,
Lock 82.
Lock 5. Sweet food on the way there.
No, we're going to a fair that has food. Yeah, I want to get food out the fair.
That's why I drive, so I have the
You've
authority
looked
to
at it like 60 million times.
Oh my god, we are all right here. You could use your indoor voice for just a minute. Our family is very intense. There's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of insanity. Everybody in our house gets to voice their opinion, gets to be an individual.
This is like the first time where I've like missed father.
This is the first time you've ever missed your dad?
That's not nice. Mommy, where are we?
We're probably lost, sis.
The Richland County Fair and Rodeo began as a small street fair in 1920. Now it attracts more than 30,000 people a year. Sandy Beagle Angel grew up going to the fair.
I come every year to the fair. Ever since I was a little kid, I've loved this place. If they would have had something like this for me to jump on when I was a kid, I'd have loved this. I love horses. I had horses growing up. The smell of horses just reminds me of love. Just love.
Before Big Oil moved in, farming was a primary occupation, and the culture still reflects that.
There are some things that go right back to the beginning and basics, and that there's sheep and swine, the horses, the critters. Hi there, hello. Well, aren't you a cutie? You're just the cutest thing. Yes, you are.
All these farm animals have been raised by local children and showcased through the 4-H Club. In addition to winning the coveted blue ribbon, the kids hope to find a buyer for their livestock. These days, most of the buyers are oil companies.
In our community here, we've got all these oil-related companies, and this is how they're showing appreciation and giving back to the community by coming here and purchasing these animals from these kids. This is my granddaughter, Kinsley. She'll be the 6th generation of 4-H members in our family. She has her own sheep already, and someday we expect she'll be selling them here in these sales too. I don't like the fair, I don't like the carnival, and amusement parks don't really amuse me all that much. But my kids love them, and it makes them laugh, which always makes me smile. So I'm going to suffer through it and watch everybody else have a good time.
This is awesome or what?
I can't believe I paid for this.
Oh my god, are you okay?
I hate the fair. You doing
I think I'm
Are you okay? You're not getting sick, right?
Uh-oh. We got one gonna blow. Neither one of them are doing well.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up now.
Maybe get some food. Well, as long as I can go any more spinny rides.
Sydney has seen booms and busts before. This boom has increased the town's population by 20% in just 3 years. Sandy enjoys extending her Montana hospitality to newcomers.
Oh, I'm Sandy. Nice to meet you. So how do you like Sydney?
Love it.
We love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice little town. It really is. It's great for raising kids. And I was born and raised here.
Born and raised?
Both family's buried out here. I'm just waiting in line.
Are you retired or are you still working?
I own farms.
Do you have mineral rights to the land?
I have mineral rights. For the last couple years, I've been getting some money, but I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No.
Why is that?
I think everybody's here. The Welts, I think they're raping the land. They're just tearing it apart, doing all the stuff, and then walking away into the sunset. I like what the oil is doing for the town of city. Let's put it that way. But it's everything that comes with it that I don't like.
In the 80s, this big boom, everybody came here, business was built, and then one night everybody left. And it ruined a lot of people, it really did. So there's a lot of people that are really gun shy from what I understand.
And that's exactly what Sandy was saying. That's the part that she doesn't like, that we're all here building up her town, and then we're all going to
just pulling shots. But that's,
skedaddle soon, and that's not happening.
yeah, that's not how it's going.
Most people come to the Richland County Fair to play. Sean Banks is here to work.
I'm not a salesman, I'm a proclaimer of the gospel. This is a great opportunity to share the gospel because there's so many people around. But here's the deal, what's going to happen when you guys die? Heaven or hell?
I'm gonna go a hole in the ground.
A hole in the ground. Why do you believe that?
Prove me wrong.
Okay, I'll prove you wrong. Evangelism happens just like counseling. You're trying to lovingly show them that Jesus is the only way. I don't try to convince people intellectually.
You have to repent of your sins and forsake your wicked thoughts and your wicked deeds. You're gonna have to realize that you deserve hell. You realize that?
The Bible's message is offensive to sinful men. I don't want to add to the offense, but it doesn't mean that I have to be light on sin. I have to be heavy on sin so that they can really love Jesus and love grace. That's the whole point.
It's been 2 years since the senior family children learned they were moving from Southern California. The only home they'd ever known.
When I first heard the news, I was like 14 years old and crying my eyes out. I was such a little girl about it. Oh my gosh.
I like North Dakota, but I didn't really want to move here.
While his family enjoys the fair, Ray Sr. is spending his evening checking oil wells.
I am away from the family more than I'd like to be. But in return, what I'm getting is a larger paycheck, which is going to pay for their college and whatever their needs may be.
But Ray's career prospects come at a cost with the family he's trying to help.
Our dad isn't that much of a participant inside the family. With him and his work, he comes home, he's got like a bad attitude because of like working and everything. Every day is not a good day for him. I mean, I love my dad. Every now and then, it's kind of just like, if you're not going to come home with a good attitude, then don't come home at all.
Also at work are the men at Liberty Oilfield Services. Their immediate goal is to bring the frac equipment up to speed before the night crew takes over.
We're waiting for another flow cross that we can bolt onto this, which will allow us another 1002 connection for us to tie our iron into. Time is money, you know, and it's like waiting on Christmas.
After several hours, the missing manifold junction finally arrives.
The only thing really setting us back is time to take for that grain to move. That's about it. Stay right there. They're putting the final touches on that hookup. Each line from the zipper manifold is going to in turn go to each line on the wellhead. All of it's interconnected.
They've managed to keep the schedule. Testing will begin in a matter of minutes.
10 minutes, yes sir. They're just going to move that unit right there and then everything's going to start to go live. Mr. Lucy, I'm going to part your radio real quick, okay? Thanks, sir. This Lucy, right? But when you see the action, you start seeing all these blunders smoking, and all these trucks gearing up for all this rate. Oh man, it's time to wake up the devil. Alright, fellas, give me about 1,000, 1,200 RPMs easy. That's pretty cool. Once you hear these things, they're all going to go through the gears, throttle up more fracking, ground, feel the vibration, everything's going to come to life out here. That was a lot of noise and a lot of fun.
The night crew will continue testing equipment, and if all goes well, fracking will begin at 7 a.m. tomorrow. History is happening in the Bakken, and the stakes could not be higher. Across the region, the boom is creating serious concerns for some.
North Dakota's in the news a lot. Unfortunately, we're in the news because oil trains explode, pipelines leak, and tank batteries catch on fire. That's still, your land is done. You can't recover it.
And new opportunities for others.
Just went from 4 welders and 4 helpers, 16, basically overnight.
For the Boomtowners, it's about risk, rewards, and the pursuit of the American dream.